In this video, I'm going to show you how you can apply a displacement map in Maya. I'm going to start by creating a plane, scale it up. I need to give it some subdivisions, at least a little bit for now, just to run the test smoothly. Later, I'm going to show you how you can add subdivisions without adding subdivisions in here, but rather in the Arnold data. So specifically for displacement. So I'm going to now apply a new material. You name it whatever you want. And then I'm going to go to the hypershade. Now in the hypershade, since I do have the plane selected, I'm going to go to graph material unselected. And then I'm going to drag the displacement node down. I'm going to click here, tab, then type in displacement. Click on the shader. Throw this in the trash. And instead you connect this one here. Then I'm going to type in file. I'm going to go with texture, file, texture. By the way, a pro tip, if you do have the image ready, for instance, like this, instead of going through the hassle of typing tab, then texture or projection and the weird naming that they have, you can actually drag and drop right away, which is really cool. However, the problem with that is that it promotes the bad practice of grabbing textures from anywhere. So proceed with caution with that process, meaning that make sure you're grabbing things that are already inside the source images. So Maya would always recognize this. You do not want to have the file opening on a different computer and completely having Maya completely not knowing where the displacement texture is. Otherwise, this is the absolute most convenient way to drop in a texture. Okay, so with that said, I am going to click on color, out color, and I'm going to choose the red. I'm going to click in displacement. So with that process in mind, I am going now to throw a sky dome. Now when I click on render, this is the result I get. As you can see, it seems off. The reason for that is because displacement is already displacing the geometry, so that's a good sign. So I'm going to change the displacement value from the default to something that is a lot more mild, so it wouldn't be extreme. And finally, I'm going to select the geometry, the plane, and I'm going to go into Arnold. And then in Arnold, you go into subdivisions. And then here you change it to Cat Clark. And then you add iterations. And with that, you can actually create a really nice displacement, even if you have very minimal amount of subdivisions, which can be a big time saver. And lastly, I want to add that it's really important to change the color space to raw. So in the hypershade, you select on the texture node, and then you go to the color space, change it from sRGB, which basically edits or modifies the image, which basically affects the data of that displacement. And instead, you want to go into raw. This will ensure that the displacement map is going to work ideal results. So this is it rendered out with that raw color management. I'm going to save that screenshot, and this is without. So there's some sort of a difference in the height, and in terms of accuracy, you always want to go with the raw. So with that said, I hope this was helpful.